Joining us now is Ojy Okpe, which stories trending around the world. Hello, Ojy.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you?
Good morning.
I've missed you calling my full name.
Ojinika.
Yes.
It has been a while.
It's been a while. Yes. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah,
How are you?
Thank God it's Friday.
TGIF to you too, Geisha. You look beautiful.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you. Good morning, Rufai. Happy Friday.
Ojy, can I call the other part of your full name? Can I call you Nika?
No,
Nikita?
it's not allowed.
Nika?
It's either Ojy or
Hi, Nika.
Ojy.
Nika?
All right. I'll take that.
Nika?
Good morning, Rufai.
Morning, Ojy. How are you?
Great.
Blessed. You're blessed today, yeah.
Well, good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. First, in the United Kingdom, the Duke of Cambridge, Prince William's first statement after Harry and Meghan's explosive interview tops the trend. The prince says the royals are very much not a racist family.
Sir, have you spoken to your brother since the interview?
No, I haven't spoken yet, but I will do.
And can you just let me know, is the royal family a racist family, sir?
So we're very much not a racist family.
And over 120,000 fans of Piers Morgan has signed a petition named Save Piers Morgan to get him back on Good Morning Britain after his shocking resignation. In the United States, reactions trail former President Donald Trump, who has taken credit for the distribution of COVID-19 vaccine, stating that he hopes Americans remember that if it wasn't for him, they will not be getting the beautiful shot for 5 years. And in Nigeria, as several states begin inoculation of the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine, photos and videos of state governors and commissioners looking uncomfortable before taking the jab has made the rounds. Finally, in South Africa, following the death of a 35-year-old protester during the Wits protests on Wednesday, Amnesty International has called for the ban on use of rubber bullets. This is horrible to know what happened to this 35-year-old man on Wednesday. This all happened on Wednesday during a Wits protest. The university, the Wits University, they were protesting against the fact that they, the 2021 register, right, was taken off. Protesters were sparked by the Wits University's decision not to allow students owing to register for the 2021 academic year. You know what that means, right? They didn't have they didn't have to do that. It was completely horrible. These are students. There was no need for them to have done that to the students. But I'm glad that the Amnesty International has now called on, to stop the use of these blank bullets. It's of no use at this point. Remember, we had the issue in Nigeria, the Lekki protesters and all of that. Now there's proof that, blank bullets can be used to kill people, and they should stop it. There are other means of stopping protests. It's really unbelievable what has happened in South Africa.
It's so tragic that a life was lost. I wish that the university had been just a bit more sensitive to the current economic downturn as a result of the pandemic, which I'm sure is why a lot of people were not able to settle their bills. I understand that the university is a business, but they could have been a bit kinder about it. They did not need to get the police out and start to shoot at the protesters, which has now resulted in this fatality. I completely agree with Amnesty International. It should never have escalated to that point.
Dr. Abati.
Well, this is part of the Feast Must Fall movement in South Africa, which has been on since 2016. Students having to pay more, despite the fact that the South African government devotes about 20% of the budget to education. But that has had to be reduced because of economic adversity. And many students, had issues being able to pay, particularly the loans that they have taken and all of that. And there is a race dimension to it. usually most affected are black students. So since 2016, we've had many episodes like this with regard to the funding of education in South Africa. But this latest one at the University of Wits in Johannesburg is the directive that if you are owing up to 150,000 rand, which is about 9,000 pounds, very close to 10,000 pounds, then you cannot register for the academic session. So the students, under the Fees Must Fall movement, they decided to do a memorandum of demands, similar to, the 5 demands that we had in Nigeria here when Nigerian youth protested against police brutality. And they went to the Luchili House, they went to the Constitutional Court to present this. It was in the course of that movement, of that protest, that one man, Ntumba, who had gone to a clinic, he was a bystander. He was not part of the protest. He was shot by the police. So the issue now moved from Fees Must Fall movement to a similar case, such as we had it in Nigeria, of police brutality. This 35-year-old man was killed. And in South Africa, they insisted that it was blank bullets. But what we have now seen is that blank bullets can kill.
That's what I just said,
And
yes.
Amnesty International is saying nobody should use blank bullets. So in Nigeria here, when the Judicial Panel of Inquiry investigating the incident at the Lekki toll gate was being told that, the Nigerian soldiers that went there, they fired blank bullets and they fired into the air. This particular guy, Ntumba, he was shot directly in the head with blank bullets. And when he was taken to the hospital, it was confirmed. So for us, that's a relevant part of it. Now, the protest has graduated to the level of police brutality. And even university teachers have had to join the protest. Academics at the University of Wits, they had to join. So our fear is that the protest may escalate. But the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, has been making very empathic statements.
Yes, he has.
And, there is a promise that the government is going to look at, the funding structure and the demands of the students, which I guess may be a way of making sure that they douse tension.
Yes.
That they must go beyond empathy and rhetoric and do something concrete, despite the hardship that Mbogeni, the finance minister, has been trying to manage with a number of measures.
Yes. Rufai, your take on this story?
Real quickly, I must have to say this. It's quite sad this is happening out of South Africa. Very, very sad. But it's South Africa. It's South African police. That's what they do best. That's what they do best. And somebody should call them to order. These protests have been on for quite a while. I remember when it happened in Stellenbosch a couple of years back, still about the fees. These are part of the inequalities apartheid has created in South Africa. There are a lot of haves and have-nots. But I'll take you back to an incident that happened that involved the same precedent that nobody has been prosecuted for. Some protesters protested in a place called Marikana, a mine in Marikana, and police officers opened fire, killing armless protesters. That mine company, one of the owners was said to be the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa. And nothing has been done as regards the Marikana killings. We can go back in history and talk about Sharpeville massacre, still from this South African police. Something has to be done. And I'm happy Amnesty is speaking up about this. They should rein them in. And also the inequality in the South Africa system should be fixed. There's a massive unemployment rate. The government needs to invest more in the education of its people. Why? Because South Africa has a very high crime rate already. And once you don't have education, crime will definitely increase. So we know COVID-19 has brought forward a lot of challenges for everybody in the sector. And the government has done some spending, but it should spend more. Some jobs are coming in, but you need skills to back up that job. Ford is bringing out a new plant in South Africa. Some jobs will be coming into the economy, but you need skills. And university education is also prerequisite. And also they should look at, apprenticeship system too in South Africa, because there are a lot of unemployed people in South Africa that needs to get jobs. So it's a deeper thing on the surface, but the police in South Africa must respect the rights of its people. This is the same police that goes in and kills individuals. We remember the case of the last Nigerian that was killed. Same in South Africa. They are so quick to open fire.
Right. Well, let's take another story that has been trending in Nigeria. The ongoing rift between the Minister for Transportation, Rotimi Amaechi, and the Governor of Rivers State, Wike, has sparked a debate online amongst their supporters. The men have had a long history of feud between them since Wike became Minister of State for Education, while Rotimi Amaechi was Governor of Rivers State. In this now viral video, Wike appears to be responding to a statement made by the Minister for Transportation, who he said accused him of being a drunkard. Let's take a look.
This morning, I was watching Kakaki, and I heard somebody, they said is the minister, was talking, and he said he does not drink. Who told you to drink? If the way you are behaving, then you drink, what will happen? I mean, the minister of the Federal Republic will come and tell Nigeria that he does not drink. What business is that? A man drinks in university, he comes out with first class. A man does not drink, he comes out with pass. Yes. Which one do you choose? No, tell me. A man drinks, he comes out with first class, second class. The man who does not drink comes out with pass. And the other etc. It's not better to tell your son to drink and come out first class. Again, the man drinks, but he does not destroy people's homes. The man does not drink, he destroys people's homes. Which one do you prefer? It's not to drink and not to destroy people's homes. This is my friend, please drink. So don't destroy people's
Oh, this has cracked me up so many times, Chindu. Please tell your friends to drink now so you can perform.
Right? I know, since it apparently helps people. I mean, did you think that Governor Wike would let this slide? I actually imagined that he would, but clearly
no,
not.
He will not.
But we had
yes,
the Minister of Transport as a guest on the show yesterday, and he said, in answer to Dr. Abati's question, that he wasn't casting aspersions, didn't he? He said he was talking about himself and not necessarily pointing fingers at anybody else, but that's not how Governor Wike has taken it.
I was going to ask you about this back and forth between you and the Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike. After the groundbreaking ceremony, he made the statement that the project is, your projects are politically motivated. And then I think on one occasion you responded and you were alleged to have referred to him as a drunk. And he has responded again that you still...
I didn't say that. That would be... No, Ruben, that would be disrespectful of a governor. I didn't say that. I only say that I make sense when I talk because I don't take alcohol. That's all I said. I didn't say my governor is a drunk. That would be disrespectful to the governor.
Maybe the innuendo...
No matter what happens, you must realize that... I don't know what you mean by the innuendo. You can, I read literature, so you can do as much as you want in attaching meaning to whatever I have said. Well, I don't think I want to address the issue of the governor. I've made my point. I've moved on.
I'm glad that the Minister for Transportation had come in to clarify that as well, Dr. Abati.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what any further comment we should be making. The two of them are prominent politicians in Rivers State. From the same part of the state, Ikwere people who have not had the opportunity to spend a long time in office, but then, of course, with these two gentlemen, they've had the great opportunity to establish the political interest of their people. I think it is quite unfortunate to find the two of them, not working together peacefully after they parted ways in terms of politics. Well, the basic point that the Minister of Transportation was making yesterday in response was that, well, it cannot be seen to be banding words with somebody who was his staff, and that he had been in various positions, and that, Nyesom Wike doesn't have his record of achievement. Well, I guess the two of them should just move beyond all of that. The basic interest should be the interest of the people of Rivers State. The minister made it very clear yesterday that he's more focused on his assignment and I didn't want to be talking about politics
yes, he did.
back home in Rivers.
Well, thank you, Dr. Abati. We'll have to go on a short break, and when we come back, What's Trending on the Morning Show will continue. Stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show. We're still on What's Trending. Rufai, before we went on a break, we were discussing the rift between the governor of Rivers State and Minister for Transportation.
Yeah. I mean, so two politicians doing their thing. They're very good friends. They were very good friends before now. I don't know what is happening. They should settle their matter. But I've got an assignment for them. Rather than come on air, bicker, fight, and argue with themselves, I just want to remind them, although the governor of the state has disputed it, that the unemployment rate in Rivers State is 43.7%. 43.7%. Rather than come fight on national TV and bicker, let them try to reduce it to at least 15% or less than that. Then that will have been in the interest of the people rather than their own personal squabbles. I know both of them don't want to talk about, their personal squabbles on TV. The minister said he didn't want to talk about it and all of that. But rather than this back and forth, the assignment I'll please like to give them is that 43.7%, they should try as much as possible to bring it down, because Rivers State is quite very volatile with a high unemployment rate. And we've been seeing it with cases of kidnapping and struggle and strife and violence. So the target is they should start by reducing it from 43.7%, bring it down. Then we'll be happy about that. That's an assignment.
All right. We'll take another story.
Well, except that Amaechi is no longer governor. That will not be his responsibility. It will be the responsibility of the people who are in charge at the moment.
Good point, Dr. Abati. We'll take another story. The Anambra State Police Command has declared a local government official, Mrs. Sabina Izwora, wanted in connection with cases of child trafficking, stealing, forgery, and perjury. Mrs. Izwora was alleged to have sold 3 children who were recently rescued from a home in Onitsha, where a woman and her mother were said to have locked them up, waiting to pound them in a mortar for ritual purposes. The children were rescued on February 19th, following privileged information shared with the Anambra Police Command. The women, Rejoice Raymond and Chidi Felicia Nwafo, were subsequently paraded over the illegal detention and torture of the children. This story was circulating on social media last month when they apprehended these 2 women. Horrific, graphic photos of these 3 children that were found in their home. I mean, I thought that I should, if you can pull up that picture of the woman that is wanted, this is what I really want to highlight, so that if anybody knows her whereabouts, you should report her immediately to the Anambra Police Command.
I remember when that story broke and when the pictures were circulating. Obviously, I cannot look at anything graphic, or I'll have nightmares for years. But the idea that these children were rescued and then recaptured, the idea that children are tortured and murdered, pounded in mortars, is so sickening. It is so heartbreaking by people that look like this, allegedly. Does she have horns sticking out of her head anywhere? She looks like just anybody's mother or aunt or anything. It's so devastating. What kind of a society are we that we fail to protect our children? How many children have been killed so gruesomely and nobody came to their rescue? Right. I do hope that she's caught and tried. I mean, it's still an allegation at this point. She has not been convicted.
Yes.
And I hope that if she's apprehended, that she can, shed more light on other people in this sort of ring are also apprehended. Who are the people demanding that these rituals are undertaken and children are killed for their sick, satanic purposes? This is completely disgusting. It's so sickening. Horrific.
Sickening.
How many children have perished in this manner?
We don't know. Dr. Abati.
Well, very sad story. Very disturbing also. Because the first 3 women that were arrested, they were said to be running a ministry, a church, a popular church within the community. So how many churches do we have out there that have a fetish background, that are run, managed by persons with evil mind? So in one regard, this is a window onto the kind of contradictions that we have in our society, of the depth of man's inhumanity to man that we're living with. Tundu is right. The other woman that has been declared wanted, she looks quite innocent. But as Shakespeare said, there is no heart to find a mind's construction in the face. That's from Macbeth. Now, we must commend the police because they got a tip-off and they followed up. The room where those children were found, a room in a flat in a government estate. When you see people living in an estate, sometimes you have some presumption that, oh, this must be decent people. But one of the rooms in that particular apartment was a shrine. It was a shrine that they found. And children who had been tortured, who had been brutalized, who were practically between life and death, who were being prepared for eventual pounding inside a mortar. Now, the third part of it, that Mrs. Uzora, who is now on the run. Now, she is a social worker. She works with the social welfare department. First, she was in Oka. Later, she moved to Ihiala. But instead of providing that social service, functioning as a social worker, she was using that position to engage in child trafficking, to sell children to ritualists, masquerading as religious persons. And really, our behavior is heinous, it's condemnable, and I believe that the police, with the kind of investigations that they've carried out that has led them to this point, should put in everything to make sure that the woman is apprehended. Now, there are probably many of her type across the country, not just in Anambra State, but elsewhere, who are just hiding under the cover of officialdom or hiding under the cover of Christianity or whatever religion. But we hope that the police will take the other step of trying to find out who the parents of these children are. They are probably also products of abduction by this social worker, but it must be possible to establish who their parents are and to make sure that they are reconnected with their families.
Very well said. Rufai, before I come to you, we'll take our final story. Villagers of a community in Rivers State who thought they killed a swordfish after sharing the photos online have been told that the fish is in fact a Marlin fish that is priced at approximately $3 million. The fish was caught by a native fisherman and was butchered and shared among the community. Rufai, your take on this story?
Wow, we need to conserve our environment, and this is very sad. And we do it every time. I remember the other day, it was a case of a turtle at the beach over here in Lagos. It was sad. There's something called CITES. I used to be a member of NCF back in the days for endangered species. And we keep making advocacy because most of the species that we just caught and butcher for meat and things like that, it's because we don't have the education. So the education must go out. Who were the officials that saw them when they were doing this? And how did they try to stop this? It's very sad. It's one too many. I remember the time we had that of a whale in Nigeria. The whale wasn't even dead. It just came out of the water and they butchered already. Quite very sad. Moving on to the woman's incident.
Yes, please. I'd love your comment on her.
You know, there used to be a big trend in the 90s called bomo bomo. I think 80s into the 90s called bomo bomo. So it's obvious that what happened to children like that were for ritual purposes. And it's quite very sad that this happens. There are a lot of parents now that they're looking for their children, that they've never seen their children. They don't know what happened to them. It could be children like this. And that's why they should be investigated. Because you see, for the fact that they can have an officialdom, they have a connection and they have a network. They don't work alone. There are people across other states that are working for them. So how they can investigate properly and track them. And you know where my heart bleeds? God knows how many children have been killed this way. Just only God knows. How many have been killed this way? Only God knows.
It's very sad.
These are the children we found.
I'm sorry to have to wrap up What's Trending on a sad note, but this is all I have for you guys on What's Trending today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Try to have a good weekend.
Enjoy your weekend. Have fun.
Thank you.
And then you brief me on Monday.
See you next time.